This is not my usual video, but hello guys. As you know, I love having opinions and I love tier lists. Recently, I've been playing this game called Dead by Daylight and I just feel like I really need to start ranking these Dead by Daylight killers, but not just based off of how good they are, how meta they are. That's boring, okay? On YouTube, I've been seeing this one person rank the Pokemon on how girly pop they are. I'll link them down in the description below. But today, we are going to be ranking the Dead by Daylight killers on how girly pop they are. Additionally, I do think lore is such an important part of this tier list, and I love the lore. So I will be talking about the lore, including the lore of the licensed characters, such as Stranger Things and the Demogorgon. I do touch upon the lore of Stranger Things, so if you don't want spoilers, just make sure you can skip that part or whatever happens. But yeah. Okay, so first up we have are the tiers. We have on the top, Mother. These are the killers that give off extra. They're going above and beyond with what they gotta give. Okay, next up we have is Girly Pop. These are the killers that are just very much the standard of the girly pop industry, okay? They're giving what they gotta give, but that's really it. They're not going too extra. Next we have up is Cutie. These are the killers who are cute. They give off energy, but they're not at the girly pop level yet. They're close, but they're not there quite yet. Next up we have is anyway, so these are the killers who they have the energy, but they're not really trying to express it. It's there, but it's very much suppressed within them. And lastly, we have a Flop. These are the killers who they do not give off any girly pop energy. It's not in them at all, and that's okay. Some killers here, they don't want to be girly pop, and that's totally fine. So first up we have is Trapper. I personally believe Trapper, his lore, it's giving girly pop, right? With the lore, how he kind of fought back with the entity, and that's how he got all the hooks on him. Additionally, he's wearing these hooks. He's kind of taunting the entity. It's like an accessory almost. And he's wearing it kind of proudly, right? His whole aesthetic itself, I don't think it's too girly pop, but we have the hooks and the lore. He's fighting back. I think that's already giving pretty girly pop. So he goes right into girly pop. His abilities, I think, are also pretty girly pop. With his trapping, whenever I get caught in his traps, I'm never upset, actually. He's one of the most basic killers, but he has one of the biggest learning curves. And when you're playing against a really good trapper, wow, like I'm impressed. And it's giving what it's gotta give. For his cosmetics, I think they're very basic. The hockey cosmetic is kind of nice, but other than that, I think they're very basic. There's not too much there. Overall, cosmetics are not too important, in my opinion. So he's gonna stay on girly pop. All right, next we have is the Wraith. Now, I'm gonna say this out right now. I was a Wraith main, but we are not having any biases here, okay? I'm just gonna say it, he's Mother. Okay, but here, let me explain why. Firstly, we have his weapon, okay? His weapon is the spine and the skull of his dead boss. Now, how camp is that? Imagine killing survivors with the skull and spine of your dead boss. It's immediately just up there and extra, and that's what's giving Mother. His whole appearance-wise isn't the most Mother-esque, but I think we can forgive that. Because with his lore, I think he's going extra. He tried to save his whole town, and that conspiracy where he rings his bell to warn the survivors that he's coming. I think everything about that is just, he has the empathy. He's there. He's there and he's going extra. Cosmetics-wise, isn't the best either. It's kind of like Trapper, but we have really cool ones. Like the Hollow Blight cosmetic for Wraith is just so good. It's just oozing off with that Mother energy. Like, look at that. And additionally, the new Rift outfit we have, look at that. The feathers and like the skirt, everything about it is just, it's Mother. It's Mother, and I have nothing else to say. So he goes straight into the Mother tier. Next up we have is Billy. So the Hillbilly, I think himself, his lore is very sad. His lore is very sad, and as the other kills we have already, the Trapper and the Wraith, their lore was sad too. However, we have to remember that sadness does not equal how girly pop they are, right? There is some correlation. But remember, correlation does not equal causation, okay? And in this case, I gotta say, I don't think his lore is giving too girly pop. It was very sad, but he wasn't kind of giving the girly pop energy, right? Additionally, I think his looks are not there at all. I very much do not appreciate this kind of tuft of hair. I think as an artistic choice, it was a very good idea, but not for what we are going for in this tier list, okay? So I personally believe him as a whole with his lore and his appearance, he's not giving girly pop, okay? Additionally, his cosmetics don't really bring him up either. I do love this pig one. I think it's super silly. But other than that, none of them really eat too much. Like the beard, it's not giving camp. Like it's unique. It's kind of iconic, but it's not, you know, so bad that it's kind of admirable, right? But after now going through his cosmetics, I do believe that he personally deserves to just go into anyways. He's not giving too much when he's gotta give. And it's fine. He doesn't seem like someone who wants to be girly pop, right? Alright, next up we have is the nurse. Firstly, I don't know exactly what you guys are thinking. However, I personally believe a lot of you guys think that she might go straight into mother. Let's hold on that thought for a bit, okay? I think her look itself is giving mother. She's floating, the nurse's kind of outfit, the outfit itself is mother. Additionally, the way her power works is also pretty camp, with her kind of teleporting and blinking, but then having to sigh because it hurts, but she's still forced to do it. It's camp. It's unique. It's iconic. And the lore itself, it goes hard, right? However, I think that's really where it stops. The weapon, it's very basic. There's not much there. The weapon could have been so much more unique with a nurse killer. She's a nurse, but she kind of just has a blade, right? There's nothing special there. Her cosmetics as well aren't giving what they're supposed to give. I personally believe Nurse as a character could have had such amazing cosmetics. Like this cosmetic, I love it. But other than that, I feel like they could have gone so much more special with the nurse. They kind of missed the mark on the girly pop aspect of the nurse. So I personally believe because of the kind of the weapon and the cosmetics, she does get bumped down straight to girly pop, which is still really good. She's just not kind of the icon of the girly pops. Next we have is the Shape, or Michael Myers, as a lot of people know him as. It's hard to rank these licensed characters because they're so iconic with the media that they were portrayed in. But as girly pop, firstly, I don't think he's girly pop. And I'm saying this because his lore, he stalks Lori. I love it. But that's where it stops. The mask, like, it's not camp, it's just there. The outfit, why does it look like that, right? The knife is just a knife. Like, I think him as a character is pretty camp with the Halloween series, but in general, it doesn't really fit well as a girly pop. The outfit isn't there. I do think this is a pretty funny outfit. I do like it, but where's the shirtless Myers? Right? Like, we've been asking that for so long. Again, it's hard to rank the licensed characters because they're so camp in the media that they were in originally, but we kind of have to grade them based off of in the universe of DBD, right? And so I personally believe he goes just right into the anyways tier. Next up we have is the Hag. I think the Hag is incredibly ugly. She's not cute, right? And I think a really big aspect of girly pop is being cute, being camp, and she's not it. Like, I understand why she looks like this, and I know she's a cannibal, like that lore, but it's just the idea of her is just kind of giving me the ick. I don't know. I do think the idea of bringing hex totems into the game was really, really cool. I do love the lore behind that. However, I do think her cosmetics are incredibly cool. Like, we do have this blue plant one. I love it. I have a bias towards blue colors. I think blue is such a girly pop color, but just look at this. Like, look how cool this is, right? And then we have like these ones, like, this is such a camp outfit. Like, look at that, right? All her cosmetics, they are really cool. So I think that immediately just bumps her straight up, and we are going to grade her right into the cutie category. All right, next we have is the Huntress. Now, I believe the Huntress is girly pop, okay? And maybe even mother, because if we think about it, the lore just fits so well together with how she kind of works, right? The axe, the mask, the lore being in like the forest. I think everything about that is just so real. It goes together, it meshes together really, really well. Additionally, I love her cosmetics. Like, they go all so well together. I love her in the Hooked on You game. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. It's the dating sim that they had. Everything about her cosmetics just eats, right? It's so versatile. So honestly, I think she's gonna go straight into the mother tier. All right, next we have up is the Doctor. Now, firstly, full transparency, he scares me. Looks wise, not camp at all. I get what they're trying to go with the face, but like, I can't look at that. I can't look at that. Additionally, the way that the survivors run when we're like in his like Madden state is so weird. I hate it. It's not cool. It's not cute. The lore wise, it's pretty interesting. I do like how he was kind of like known as this doctor, but then he got kind of overzealous with his work and ended up, you know, becoming who he is today. So I love the lore behind it, but I just think the look wise immediately bumps it down like 10 notches. And I don't think his cosmetics help either. Like, genuinely, like, I see where they're trying to go with some of them. Like, this one is pretty cool, I gotta say, with the plague mask. But other than that, I gotta say, his cosmetics aren't giving what they gotta give in terms of what we are looking for in this tier list. So all in all, I'm gonna put him straight into the anyways tier. He's kind of giving girly pop with the energy of his lore, but that's it. So he's not entirely flopped just yet. Next, we have the Cannibal. Now, firstly, we are gonna address the camping Bubba situation. It's not camp, it's not girly pop. Now that that's out of the way, let's look at him objectively. I think he's rather girly pop. It's giving what Wraith was, where he kills someone and kind of wears them. Now, I know they've removed it, but I know that they also used to have the cosmetics for the free survivors. And I think that that was pretty camp, being able to wear them and kind of use them as a cosmetic. Again, similar to Trapper and similar to Wraith. I think his cosmetics are hella camp. They're super cool. I love the old lady apron. So in general, I gotta say, cutie. I do want to put aside the camping basement Bubba situation we got going on here because that's not him. Those are the players. Okay, so that's why I think he goes straight into the cutie tier. Okay, next up we have is the Nightmare or Freddy Krueger. I think his lore, it's just whack. I just think the lore isn't that cool with kind of coming back as like a nightmare demon. I think his abilities as well are really odd with the teleporting to generators, the dream palettes, and like the snares. Like I just think it's not really cohesive with kind of what he's supposed to be. His looks wise, he's not camp at all either. Like I think he might be the first killer in flop. I think just straight up, first killer goes straight into flop. All right, next up we have is the pig or Amanda Young. I love the Saw series. I think it is such an iconic pillar within the horror industry, and her herself, I think, is pretty camp. Okay, if we take into the consideration of the lore of Saw and how Amanda Young worked, she was a recovering drug addict, and then she kind of had to kill another person to survive, to value her life more. Firstly, hella camp, okay? I think the way that she ended up breaking the traps was also really camp. I don't know. I remember that some people were really upset that she rigged the traps, but I think just like the dichotomy between her and Jigsaw was just really cool to watch unfold. Her cosmetics as well are so cool, especially this one. I think the way it shows Amanda as Jigsaw is just so cool. The way that they implemented her power was also pretty interesting. I do not like how every time I'm playing against her, I have to do 4 freaking Jigsaw boxes to get it off my head. But that's not the killer. That is a me luck issue. So I think as a whole, Miss Amanda Young goes right up into girly pop. All right, next up we have is the clown. Firstly, I hate the clown. I'm going to be straight up honest. I hate playing against the clown. It's so annoying. The laughs are so disgusting. His Mori is so atrocious. Everything about him is so uncapped, okay? He's going to go straight into flop, by the way. I already see it. There is nothing girly pop about him. Looks, lore, abilities-wise. There's nothing girly pop. However, I do want to unpack this because I don't want to leave you guys hanging with my thoughts. Lore-wise, I think it starts off really poor. He starts off killing birds and then goes off into killing people, and then he gets caught and then starts running away and being a traveling circus, right? I think that's really weird. I don't know. It's just, it starts off so odd with killing birds. There's no lead up to it. Okay, I get the lore. It's just everything about him nasty. I'm sorry. Additionally, his cosmetics do not eat at all. Besides this one. Of course, you guys already knew I was going to pull out Mr. Puddles, okay? But literally, other than that, Maurice is a bit of a little bump, but again, that's it. They're not even that redeeming. It's like +1 point, right? That's it. And I know this is a really quick session because I just hate talking about the clown. It just boils my blood. Maybe that is a bit camp, being so anger-inducing that I feel it in my bones. But no, that's not camp, okay? We can't let these tangents get aside of us, okay? He still goes straight into flop. All right, next up we have is the Spirit. Now, I believe Spirit is girly pop and maybe even mother. Okay, let's unwrap it, okay? Firstly, with the lore, there's so many things to unpack, okay? Firstly, she doesn't want to be a sword wielder, so she's kind of rebelling there, okay? Nextly, she beats up her bullies. Boom, already rebelling again. And then lastly, when she comes home and sees her mother and her father fighting, I think her mother was already dead. And then she ends up kind of falling through a window. I could be wrong with that, but like just like that whole saga of hers just gives so camp. She's rebelling, she's fighting, she's kind of getting a vengeance for her mother by going into the realms with the entity. So I just think that in a whole in itself is just girly pop. It's a mother, honestly, even. But I think actually I might put her mother because of one thing, her cosmetics. Now, I just want to say everything about her cosmetics are incredibly camp. Firstly, look at this. I know I already said it before, but blue is a hella camp color. Look at this. Look at this. And I love like the severed arms that they're floating. I just think it's such a good attention to detail, okay? Like this, the kimonos, like everything about the outfits are so good. They're so good. I love them. Like I honestly gotta say there's nothing bad I can say about any of these outfits. They're incredibly cool. But I think honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, she is a mother tier. She's mother tier, 100%. Okay, All right, next we have is the Legion. Now, firstly, I love the idea of having 4 different kind of killers in one. Like, of course, they're not really 4 different killers, they're the exact same way that they play, but lore-wise, it's like 4 different people, and there's like a group. However, they're just teenagers, right? They're just teenagers that like to cause havoc. And I think the lore, it's kind of boring. I do feel bad for Frank and how he kind of got abandoned, having to move between homes and homes. But then the other people just join him because they like serial killers. Like, what do you mean? You know, it's like it's not really there. It's not really there. I love the cosmetics. It's so goofy, but also like how they have different cosmetics for each character and then different character and then like this one, I love this one. This one's genuinely so cool. Again, other than that, there's not too much with the Legion, what they got going on. So I personally believe they go straight into the anyways. I feel like different ones have different tiers. Like I think Susie would go maybe into girly pop and Frank would maybe go into cutie. But overall, I think they're just an anyways. They're really just there as like a whole. Like individually, maybe they're different, but we're ranking them as like the killer themselves, and it kind of falls apart there, right? With the lore. So that's where I'm gonna put the Legion. Okay, next we have the Plague. Firstly, just looking at how she looks, it's Mother. I mean, look at that. The headpiece, the weapon, it's just Mother. Okay, it's so up there. And lore-wise, I think it's pretty Mother. You know, how she kind of worked her ranks up to become this high priestess, and then she ended up having to like go through like a plague and then kind of banishing herself. Like she's selfless. She is a selfless woman. And I love it. Her cosmetics are as well eat so hard. I mean, just look at these. Like, it's just it's so camp. I love it. However, her ability is just like, what do you mean? It's just, ugh. I hate the throwing up sounds. I hate the throwing up UI. Like, I hate everything about it, okay? She's really fun to loop, but I think because of that, it might bump her down to girly pop. I would have put into her mother, but just like the idea of her power is really cool with being the plague and throwing up and kind of contaminating everything, but that's it. That's it. It's just kind of gross, okay? And girly pop things, they don't give people the ick. They're alluring. Her outfit is alluring, but not her power. All right, next up is Ghostface. Firstly, iconic killer, okay? This is probably one of the most iconic killers in all of DBD. I mean, the Scream mask is just it's an iconic, okay? I keep saying the word iconic, but it genuinely is so iconic. His lore is kind of odd. I don't know. I never watched the Scream movies, but I do know the lore and that he like people tried to copy him and then he kind of took over a paper to kind of like morph an image of what people want to perceive him as. But I don't know. I think that's kind of camp, like kind of portraying, giving yourself an image, but I think it stops there. I think he's a very just like a mid tier kind of girly pop person. Nothing special, but nothing kind of to his detriment. So I think it's go straight to cutie, okay? I think cutie is a good tier. Okay, next up we have the Demo Doggy. I love Demogorgon. I think him being kind of like so unique as a killer wise, like he's got the humanoid kind of like look to him, which we will touch upon in later killers. I actually just finished watching Stranger Things recently, and I am obsessed with the show, so there might be a bit bias here. I think the Demogorgon being a killer itself isn't too camp. The lore of the Demogorgon is very much a piece of a bigger story with like the mind. Okay, so next up we have is Kazanyama or the Oni. Let's get into his lore. I think it's actually a lot to unpack, so let's unpack it together because I kind of don't know how to feel about this. So I do know that he kind of was, you know, the heir to a samurai or something, and then he ended up kind of getting angry at all the false samurais in Japan, and he ended up kind of going on a rampage and killing all the false samurais, which his parents did not approve of. And then he ended up killing his father, and then the Lord ended up kind of giving him the name Oni, which is very much of a disgrace to his name. Now, this is the part where I want to unpack, okay? We have the spirit who kind of went to kill her father for an revenge for her mother, right? And we have kind of like the plague who was kind of this high priestess who kind of was very selfless. Now, the Oni is kind of tricky because on one hand, he was just an angry little boy, okay? He just got mad and went on a rampage, you know? However, he stuck to his morals. He was like, wow, I don't like these fake samurais in Japan, so I want to kill them all. So, on one hand, yes, camp. On the other hand, it's like, what were you doing? You know? So, I'm kind of a bit iffy on this character. His power, I think it's very much fun. It's very much unique. It's very much interesting, but very much not girly pop. So, I don't think that adds or removes anything. So I think I'm going to put him right up into the cutie category. Next we have is the Deathslinger. Firstly, he creeps me out. I think that's like the first thing we want to put out there. He's just kind of creepy looking. Like, he's not kind of creepy like the unknown creepy, like horrifying and scary. He's more creepy in the way that it's like, ew, do not go near me. You look really weird. Sorry to all the Deathslinger mains out there, but I mean, just like the hair and the eyes and like, I mean, the leg brace is cool. The way he has like a lip on his walk, the attention to detail is very cool. He's just kind of creepy. Lore wise, I think it's very odd. It's very odd, very simple. There's not too much going on. It's not like Oni, it's not like the spirit, it's not the plague. It's just very much oh, did he just spit? Okay, that immediately lower 1 tier. Okay, girly pops do not do that. I don't know what that was. I don't know if I saw it properly, but don't want to see that again. So I'm gonna put him in flop because there's no semblance of girly pop anywhere. His power, not girly pop. You just shoot a spear gun, which is a complete juxtaposition with Huntress, but I just think it's different. You know, Huntress, it's like, it's different. It's the vibes, okay? And you guys have to trust me on this. It's the vibes, okay? Okay, next up we have is Pyramid Head. Now, 100% biased, but I mean, just look at him. Look at how camp this character looks. Muscle, the stance, like camp. Already, it's so up there. But let's get into the lore. I think his lore honestly helps him. Like, he's a manifestation of, I think, guilt and how he kind of, you know, rids characters of their guilt in form of punishment. I think that's hella camp. He literally is an executioner of characters who do bad, and then afterwards he just goes into rest. Like, what do you mean I'm not needed anymore? Like, wow, I wish that was me. So overall, his power is so fun. I love the cage. It's so unique. Like, caging people up. Like, wow, what do you mean? What do you mean? You know? So I believe he goes into girly pop. I don't think he's mother. He kind of is missing a few bits and pieces, you know, throughout. But he definitely is girly pop in that sense. So yeah. Wow. Okay, next up we have is the Blight. There is just so much to unpack here, which I do not feel like getting into at the moment because this video is probably hella long already. But the Blight, firstly, the lore is just so good. It's so good. Like, he's hella smart. He's like a chemist. I don't know where to start with his lore, but all I know is that it is very camp. It's unique. It's special. Like, it's not his fault. Like, none of it is technically his fault. He was just kind of, you know, banished by society, right? He was kind of ostracized by society. His cosmetics are hella cool. I love this one. Like, wow, look at this. Like, I just love the lore of like the serum and kind of making other people, like other killers, lightified. I don't know if that's the right word. And making them like their strongest, truest form. I think he is one of the coolest characters. So overall, I'm going to put him in cutie. He has got so much going on with him. His power is really boring, I gotta say, so that doesn't help him at all. But he's got so much going for him, but that's really all that it is girly pop wise. Hella cool, one of the coolest lore wise, but not girly pop lore. He doesn't do anything that's camp, right? Okay, next we have is the twins. Lore wise, I think this is where the twins shines through, okay? The idea of the twins, you know, being conjoined at birth, and then like the people thinking that because you're conjoined, the mother was involved in some witchcraft, the mother gets hunted, and then Charlotte and Victor end up having to kind of go run on their own and kind of survive, and then Victor being killed, and then Charlotte now having to live by herself is so camp. Like, wow, they go through so much hardship. You know, that's kind of the thing that's giving girly pop. You know, they're going through adversity and getting through it. Of course, in the end, she kind of hears Victor's voice and then kind of follows it into the fog. But they lasted, right? And that's what I gotta say. It's like, just looking at these people, Victor looks hella young and Charlotte looks very much older, which means Charlotte lasted so long by herself. I do think their character is really boring. I think their playstyle is really boring. I think them as like a killer is not really the best idea. They could have executed it in a bit better of a way, because I love the idea of being like twins and having 2 killers in one. I think we can put that aside, okay? Customizations wise, they're cool. I just wish Victor has cosmetics as well. But as a whole, I believe that she has really cool cosmetics. So I think she's going to go right up into the cutie category. Not exactly girly pop, but not anyways. Okay, next up we have is the Trickster. His lore-wise, I think it's not that camp. Like, it's low-key the opposite of camp. I mean, he's just a selfish little prick, you know? He was a K-pop idol since a kid, got recruited into a boy band, but then got jealous of the split fame. Like, what do you mean? You know, it's like, why are you jealous? And then when a fire breaks out, he leaves his bandmates to die in the fire. Like, that's just jealousy. There's no camp at all. That's not camp. Girly pop people, they are selfless. They avenge others. This is not the girly pop that we know. So I think like it's just hard to rank him because he's like so polar opposite. His look, his cosmetics, camp, his lore. What the hell are you doing? His power also biased though. I hate his power. So I'm just gonna like not rank that at all because I also just think it's like very much middle of the road as well anyways. So I'm gonna put him in girly because high key, some people might argue that the way that he kind of operates is girly pop, where he kind of, you know, sacrifices others for his own fame, which I understand. Like, it's not the most girly pop in some like criteriations, but I understand why some people do think so. So putting all biases aside, he goes into the girly pop tier. If this was a killers that I like, he's going to the very bottom of the tier. But let's move on. Okay, next up we have is Nemi. Now, I've never played Resident Evil, so I don't really know his lore like at all. But like him as like a whole, he doesn't give camp. He doesn't give anything. He's just kind of weird. I think he's goofy. He's hella fun to loop, but I mean that's really it. I don't really know the lore behind him, so I can't really say touch upon too much of the lore. So I'm just gonna base this purely off of his look and power. His power is not camp at all. I think it's really funny to make funny innuendos with the whip. So he's going to go into anyways because I just think flop is just a completely different tier. Because I don't know, his Dorito body shape Loki kind of eats. Next we have is the Cenobite or Pinhead. I don't know where to start with this. I think he just looks really goofy. He kind of just looks like the man standing emoji. Lore-wise, again, I don't know too much of the lore besides the fact that someone became Pinhead by like finding like the lament configuration. What the hell was that? But I do know the lore that Dwight found the lament configuration in the box, and I think that's kind of funny. I gotta say, I love Dwight. Dwight is such a silly little boy. Looks-wise, it's not camp at all. Like, what is this? Like, it's giving acupuncture. Honestly, he's not camp. He's not girly pop. He can go in anyways. Okay, he has like that bit of it, like a bit going on with kind of like no. He does not go, he's not got anything going on. Yeah, let's just move on. I actually don't want to continue talking about him. Okay, next we have is the artist. I just want to say, looks wise, she is so cool. Like, I like how she kind of hits people with her hand and like ink, which totally fits into her lore. Speaking of lore, let's get into it. I love it. Her brother died, and then she kind of falls into this despair until crows kind of save her, and then she uses art as kind of like an escape, and then she gets, you know, labeled, and then she finds out dark secrets about this like labeling company. She has to expose them. Like, that's so cool. It's giving a spirit, avenging. It's giving the Wraith, you know, protecting the world. She's a good person. She is good. I don't have much to say about her. Her power is really cool with the crows. I'm really between Mother and Girly Pop right now. Genuinely, I think she might go into Mother. Like, how her lore works is just so good. Yeah, she's going to Mother, and I know I don't have to say anything, and you guys will still understand it, okay? Okay, next up we have is the Onryo. Firstly, we need to talk about her cosmetics. Okay, I know we kind of did this already with Trickster, but I mean, okay, this is not that cool. But look at that. Look at that. Like you cannot say this is probably one of the best cosmetics in the entire game. It's genuinely so cool with like the flowers. And I know in like Japanese culture with like the flowers, it's just like the death flower or something about like the flower and like related to death. It's so cool. And like the hitting animation, I don't know if she'll do it, but it's just so cool. Like, look at that. Wow. Like this one, you know what? Okay. I said let's look at her cosmetics, but I really just mean this one. Genuinely, this one just bumps everything up so high. Lore-wise, she is one of like the strongest supernatural entities in all of horror universe, which I think is kind of weird. But if we can move past that, I love the idea that she was pushed into a well. No, I don't. I think it's kind of boring. I think she's kind of boring, lore-wise, actually. She got pushed into a well, couldn't escape. Cabin was built over it, haunted this tapes, and now people watch it. They get haunted 7 days, right? Like, I don't know, kind of boring. Like, I just feel like she doesn't have much girly popness, right? Her lore is boring. Like, I don't know. Seven Rings is iconic. She's iconic, but literally, it's genuinely so boring. The only thing she's got going on for her is this camp ass fit, but that's it. So I hate to say it, I love you, Sadako, but I think you're just gonna go into anyways. Because genuinely, like, what is that, you know? Next up, we have Dredge, or Dressy, as I like to call him. He is my main, but let's put biases away. However, I main killers not by how strong they are, but how their vibes are portrayed. So, you can probably already see where Dredge is gonna go. Let's start with the lore, okay? His lore is so good. He's a manifestation of all of the dark thoughts in this like utopian society that Otto Stamper built. Otto Stamper was like, you cannot be upset. So everyone was like, yeah, I'm so happy. But then deep down, they were repressing these anger thoughts. And then eventually it just all boiled over. It consumed them. And the Dredge came to be. Like, wow. Like, this is a manifestation of the dark thoughts. Like, how camp is that? Next, cosmetics. I don't think I have a bias. I genuinely think in the community, Dredge is known for having one of the coolest cosmetics because he's just so unique. I love how he is not a human. He's not a human, and when he like does his animations, it's so unique. It's so cool. I do think the head in the base kit is very odd. It looks like a. I'm not gonna say it, but I mean, look at this. Like, wow, this is not the best, but wow. And then we have this again, not the best, but wow. And then we have this cool, not the best. But then it starts to change. We have Maurice. Wow. Like the lore behind Maurice and the Dredge is so cool. And then we have a deer or like an elk. Like wow. And then we have a freaking crab. Like Dredge probably has the best ability to have the coolest cosmetics because it's not a human. I personally believe Dredge has the coolest cosmetics because like they're just so unique. Also, his power is so fun. Like, I guess, like, so I personally believe Dredge is going right into Mother. Okay, next up we have is the Mastermind or Wesker. So, lore wise, again, I've never played Resident Evil, but I do know that he himself used to be a good person, I think, but then kind of abandoned the Stars team. That's not kind of cool. That's not cool of you. Abandoning people, like, it's not giving Kamina, sorry, the artist, it's not giving Plague, like, it's giving Selfish Little Brat. Okay, however, Wesker himself, I know he has a very dedicated fan base of thirsty people on Twitter. And I cannot not take that into consideration. So I'm gonna put him in cutie actually. I was gonna put him in anyways, but his fan base is obsessed with him. And I think that's pretty important to take into consideration. So he's gonna go to cutie, he goes. Okay, next we have is the Knight. Firstly, I hate the hair peeking out of his thing. It's like so musty looking. I think his lore, it's just an evil character, you know? And I like how he and Vittorio kind of interacted. They used to actually be of like same side in a sense, but then he ended up falling into darkness. He was like, I'm evil, I'm not doing this, I want evil. So not much going on with the lore, both in terms of just depth, but also in terms of how girly pop it is. So yeah, not much to say about him anyway, so I think he's gonna go straight into flop. I can't think of any girly popness that oozes out of him, like at all. Okay, we have Skull Merchant. Her looks wise, I mean, she's cute. I get it. Genuinely, she is really cute. And her cosmetics, I mean, they're kind of cool. Actually, I'm lying. Yeah, I'm lying. I don't like her cosmetics. Yeah, no, no, no. Okay, let's just immediately just her as a character. If you don't know her lore, she's a flop. She is a flop. But lore-wise, she's still a flop. She's smart. She's a smart girly. But then, her dad, she tries to avenge her dad, which I get, like, it's kind of there. But she does it by killing other people to make her dad's manga a reality. Like what? Like that's just weird. That's just weird. Yeah. So I'm gonna put her on anyways because she has that essence. Again, she's a girly. She looks girly pop base wise. Like she's giving girly pop. She tried to avenge her father just in a very unethical way, an unorthodox way. So it's like there, right? Girly pop is there. It's just very much not up there. Also, I just don't want to address her playstyle because it's gonna make me mad. But moving on. Wow, okay, next we have is the Singularity or Hux. I think Hux is a very unique character. I like how it's kind of again on the essence of not humanoid. I know his lore wise, it's because he kind of constructed his own perfect body. And I mean bipedal is a more perfect kind of idealized shape of being this monster. I like how his lore, he used to just be like a very low-key semi-dumb character, and then he kind of gains enlightenment. I think that's really cool. And then he kills off his characters. Him as a character, it's pretty cool. His lore, it's not too special. I think Hux is a more bland character in terms of the lore. It's also there, like, because he's not a human, or it's not a human. It's just a robot that was built, right, to kind of colonize. So its cosmetics are so cool. I mean, genuinely, like, look at this one, right? Like, genuinely, I love the new Rift one. I think it has so much potential to do good kind of like Dredge because it's so unique, right? His power is fun. His power is really fun to play against, to loop. It's just I never play against Hux because he's just so rare. I've only played against like maybe 2 of them, and both of them they 4K slugged us. So again, hate the player, not the killer. So I am actually gonna put Hux up in Cutie. Okay, I have never seen Alien, so I don't know the lore behind it, but I know the lore in DVD. It's so simple. It's just that it tries to get Ellen, is not able to, gets into a fog. I don't know. I know it's not a human, so it's kind of in a similar boat to Hux, where it's just like there's no thought behind it. It's an alien, and maybe it's also my negligence for not knowing the lore too well about the Xenomorph, but I'm just not really there. Also, it looks so weird. The head. What is the head? So I think I'm gonna rate it anyways because Hux has that intelligence, has that kind of progression. I don't think Alien does. I don't think Alien does. Okay, next we have is the good guy or Chucky. Chucky is very iconic as well. Okay, firstly, I used to hate Chucky because like he was so small, but now he's so fun to loop. I don't know. But anyways, let's move on. I think Chucky's lore is really cool. He originally was a human and then got killed and transferred his body into a doll, which is Chucky. So I love Chucky as a whole. Like you're a serial killer and then you transfer your body. Like that's not really camp. That's just evil. You know, so not much to say about him. He's a licensed character again, so I can't really say too much about licenses because they have their own lore. But I'm gonna put Chucky in anyways. Okay, now we are on to Unknown. I know we talked about Unknown a bit with like being spooky. I like how DVD tried to kind of go the spooky route with Unknown. I think they need to go more in that route of this game. Unknown. I think Unknown is very cool. I think the lore behind Unknown is very interesting. I know it's not too known what his lore is because again he's unknown, and I think that's what adds to his girly pop score because he's just so like unknown. Like literally that's like what he is. He is an unknown being and no one knows kind of what he's supposed to be and why he can mimic voices, who he is. Again, I can't say too much about him. His cosmetics are kind of funny, but I get why it's like that. You know, like I get why his cosmetics look like that. He's trying to blend in as a human. Essentially that's how Unknown works, right? So overall, I'm gonna give Unknown girly pop. Okay, next up we have is Vecna. I I don't know, his looks kinda weird, I gotta be honest, like, I understand what they're trying to go for. It's the Vecna, right? And the lore about kind of being like a necromancer, I think, it's all pretty cool, it's just there's not much funness going on. It's just pure evil, and as we learned from this tier list, evil can equal cool, cool can equal camp, but they're not ever like a one-to-one thing, right? And in this case, he's evil, he's cool, he's not very girly pop. So I think he goes straight into the anyways tier list. There's not much going on with him. I gotta be honest. There's not much going on with him. Okay, I had to change the dimensions for this one because he's hella tall for some reason. But lastly we have Dracula. He's so camp. I mean, just look at him. Look at him. He's the vampire. Like, look at him, right? And I've never seen Castlevania or read it or played it or whatever. I don't remember what the series is. But all I know is that he is really cool. The way he can like turn to a wolf. Wow. Like I just think that's so fun. There's not much to say about him, right? I did not read too much into his lore yet, but all I know is that he is just one hella cool character. Okay. Not much to say about him. His cosmetics, they're cool, but I honestly think his main cosmetic is the best one. I love his power. His power is so cool, transforming into a bat and then transforming into a wolf. His like different powers in each of them. And I think he behavior really ate with making this character genuinely. Like, genuinely not much to say about him. I gotta say, I think he's girly pop. Like, I think I would never say that about, like, it's like an old looking man, but he genuinely is just oozing girly pop energy, and I love it. So, that's the tier list, guys. I'm not too sure how long this video has turned out to be. I know the recording took a bit of time, but this is the official How Girly Pop Is Your DBD Killer Main tier list. Let me know if you guys agree, if you guys want to disagree. Feel free. I love hearing other people's opinions. I never get upset about kind of conflict with opinions because I have my very strong opinions. So feel free to drop them down in the comments below if you have anything else you want to mention, maybe lore-wise or anything else. Just let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I might do a Survivor tier list of how girly pop they are if this video gets enough love. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye, YouTube.